Okay, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. This afternoon we'd like to talk to you about how we developed our house system at Wellington International School. We'll just wait for everyone to be seated. Okay. Go back. Okay, so Wellington International School, for those of you that don't know it, is the very large original Wellington, which is on the Sheikh Zayed Road. It's actually going into its 10th year now, and for Dubai, that's actually quite an established school. So we do have a lot of traditions. We have had a lot of initiatives in those 10 years, and we do have a alumni of ex-students, if you like. So 10 years is quite a long time. Within those 10 years, for the past 4 years, and possibly when the reports are given out, 5 years, we have been an outstanding through school. We are very established in the community. We're very well known. Everybody seems to know where we are, what we are. It's an oversubscribed school. We currently have 600, 700 students on the waiting list. Marketing is not something that we need to do. It's quite an interesting concept really for me, coming from a background in the UK where we always marketed our schools. We don't necessarily need to market ourselves, but we do have a very, very high reputation, and that reputation is very important to us. We have a fully developed curriculum. We teach the English national curriculum, and then when we go to post-16 we go on to the International Baccalaureate, which is quite an interesting system because not many schools actually have that dual system, but it does work very well for us and our students. We have excellent parental engagement. Parents are welcome in our school at all time, and they are in our school at all time. We have a very strong parental association, which we call Whisper. They run very many events around school. A lot of parents continue with their child, with it being a through school. They get to know the school very, very well and have been with us for 10 years. It's a long time for parents to be involved in a school. So you do get some very strong relationships and some very strong characters as well in school. That's quite interesting for us as parents that have started with their children right down in FS, and then suddenly, well, it's not quite happened yet because we haven't been there quite long enough, but within the next couple of years we'll get our first parents that have taken their children all the way through school. And we have a very extensive extracurricular programme. One of the things that I couldn't get used to when I first came to Dubai, because I've been here for 2 years, is that the school is never closed. It's always open and there are always students in school. Sometimes you have to check at 8 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock at night they've actually all left the building, and you always find students in school. So as an entity, as a school, we're extremely established. So there's certain things that we do extremely well. Now, when I came to Wellington 2 years ago, I've been in education for, I'm afraid to say, over 20 years. And I noticed, and I think that people who come before, that we had something that was missing. So this huge school, 2,500 students, right through. Is anybody else working a through school that goes from, yeah, okay, that goes from small to 18-year-old students? That's quite a challenge really in how you actually get that feeling of home and spirit and a heart in the school, and how you actually make people feel like it's their school. Because what can actually happen in a through school, it can actually become very separate. You can actually have FFs over in a corner and they get on and do their own thing. You can have your primary school who don't want to mix with secondary school because, you know, the bigger kids on the playground and all those things. You can have, you know, your sixth form that may be behind, you know, separate wind in the school, and those students don't mix with the younger students. And it's actually quite hard to get a real community spirit within a school, because teachers have different skills as well. So when I first got there, and I'm used to teaching 11 to 16-year-olds, and I've got a 3-year-old needing the toilet, yeah, I thought, I really didn't know what to do with these very, very young children, very small children. And it can be quite daunting of how you make it feel like we're all part of one place. So these are the things that we thought were missing. We thought that the interaction between students of different ages wasn't there. We felt that maybe the older children didn't have the responsibility of the younger children in the way that they acted around school. There wasn't necessarily an awareness. Even though the behaviour of our children is outstanding, sometimes we felt that the older children would just perhaps ignore the younger children. We felt that there wasn't necessarily a loyalty to each other as well. So this is what the school identified. It was actually before I came. It was when Karen first came to the school. And this is what we felt that was missing. So what we already had... Is it you now? Yeah? So moved on? Okay. So I'm going to hand over to Karen. And Karen is... member of staff at the school that is the strategic lead on the house system at Wellington International School.
Okay, so when I arrived at Wellington in 2011, what the school already had was it did have the 4 houses in name. So we had four houses based basically on the colours of the UAE flag. So we had Diamond House, Emerald House, Onyx House and Ruby House. But basically the only time they came into operation was on Sports Day. So what happened in 2012 was that the principal asked for ideas for innovation projects, a 3 to 18, so a through school project, and asked people to apply. And so I did, and I applied to develop the house system at Wellington because I did feel that was something that was missing, the sense of community, and I felt that would bring the school together. So the way I went about this was the first thing I did was I had a strategy group meeting with interested staff from both phases so that I could get their ideas, because obviously working in an international context, there are staff who've come from all over the world, staff who've come from all different types of school, independent schools, state schools, public schools, and they were all bringing with them different experiences of house systems and how those had functioned in their own schools. So obviously we had an ideas meeting and decided how to move forward with it. But not only did I consult the staff, I also had a meeting with students because Dubai is such a transient place, so many of the students were coming to Wellington International with previous experience of successful house systems in different types of schools. So they also brought enthusiasm and ideas that I hadn't thought of and ways in which to move it forward. And obviously they had their own thoughts about how the house system at Wellington was currently functioning and how we could improve that. So after these consultations, the next thing I did was to draw up a 3-year action plan, which we're going to talk you through today, where we talked about how to establish the house system, the new house system, how to develop it, which is what the phase we're in now. We're actually in the developing phase now, and we've drawn up our plan for how to embed the house system in 2014-15, and we'll talk you through that today.
Okay, so just out of interest, how many of you have a current house system within your school? Okay, so it's quite common for those house systems to be 4. In some schools, they may go vertical with their house system, so there's a smattering of children from every year, and in some they may go where they have each form is a house. Okay, at the moment we are vertical, so in every form or every class, if you like, there is a quarter of that class is from each particular house. What we wanted to do was we talked about this word ethos, and this goes back to the previous slide of all the different words that we want to get across to you, and how we had to think about what needed to be at the core. What was the core purpose of what we were doing? So, community and identity. Even though we're a huge school with 10 years behind us in Dubai, probably one of the most, everyone knows where we are, on the Sheikh Zayed Road, we didn't feel that we were perhaps as high profile within the community, other than the fact that people knew where we were and the students went there, and it's one of the better schools in Dubai. We didn't feel that the community actually knew that much about us. So that's something that we needed to do in order to get our students out there and to bring the community in. We needed to make sure that students had rewards for what they do. very high achieving students, they will go home and, you know, produce the most amazing piece of homework, spend hours and hours and hours at it, but where's the reward? Our children at Wellington, if I'm completely honest, do not need any financial or tangible reward, but they do need affirmation. They do need to know that they have done well. And they are very competitive as well in what they do. So it was very important that they had a reward system that they could compete with each other as well. And it was also important that they had the opportunities to lead. Our students at Wellington will always take the opportunity to lead. They astound me every day when you give them a job to do or you give them an event to organise. They're very, very good at doing it. The skills that they have, and I think it's down to the holistic way that we teach, are outstanding. The attention to detail is incredible. It took me quite a long time when I first came to Dubai, and like I say, this is my second year, to work out where those skills came from. And part of it is the ethos that has come through school. We have a learner profile and we're very much a skills-based type curriculum. And I also think part of it is from, and you probably experience this yourself as well, the drive of the parents. And the drive that the parents have is actually something that's instilled in the actual students. So we needed to give them the opportunity to showcase the skills that they had and the voice as well, so they could tell us about their ideas of how we can move things forward. Even today, whatever strategy group we have, there are always students involved in those strategy groups, and some of them are quite high-level conversations about, you know, how do you improve Arabic, which is a classic one in Dubai. But you know, we will get students in to talk about their ideas of how we can do that. So the core purpose of the house system was all about the ethos. Okay. No, that's right. Okay, so the first thing that we needed to do, we had, for us, we're a GEM school, so the identity was all around the gemstones, and the gemstones within the colour of the flag. So we had diamond white, emerald green, onyx for black, and ruby for red. And that's all it was. It was just a colour. Students wore hats in their house colour, and I think they had a swim cap in their house colour. A swim cap for swimming? Yes. Yeah, the primary students. And other than that, that was it. You had no way of how students could be identified within their house. In the UK, the students were quite typically, because it's quite a UK thing to be in a house, they would wear a tie in a different colour, but ties are not so much used here. So it was all about the identity of the house and how we could do that. So Karen launched a competition for the students to design the house shields. So the shields that you see at the top here, the students actually designed. And we had a competition, they came up with lots of ideas. And there's actually an elements intertwisted in the ideas, the gemstones as well. So you'll have to help me out here, Karen. So diamond is air, emerald is earth, onyx is water, and ruby is fire. Okay, I've got it. Okay, so the elements were intertwined in them as well, and that helped us in terms of presentations and for students to actually come up with these beautiful designs that we now have. We're now in the process of getting these made into like banners, huge flags that hang down. We've got quite a high central 4-storey atrium that hang down the middle of the atrium. They're actually in the process of getting them made at the moment. And that's another thing that sort of instills that identity within the school. So the students come up with these fantastic ideas, and now you see these emblems, and these go on the student newsletters, they're around at Sports Day, and in terms of the house point cards, this is part of the identity that goes around school. Student leadership. It was important that we reinstilled the house captains. The idea was always there, but other than Sports Day and getting the team together, they didn't really do anything else. And I'll come on to a little bit of how they're now involved in lots of other different initiatives as well later on. So it was important that house captains, 4 for each year, if you like, so one for each house, were actually voted in, and the representatives as well. And within the calendar of Cycle, we have what we call a curriculum enrichment programme, which is four 25-minute sessions a day. sorry, not a day, a week, because we don't have it on a Thursday, we have a shorter day on a Thursday. So a 25-minute session a day, and within the cycle, once a month, is it? Once a month they have a... Once every 4 weeks, yeah. Once every 4 weeks, they have an actual house meeting where the representatives come together and they talk about what initiatives they have. We needed to look at rewards. Now, rewards are an interesting thing. I don't know about you. In some schools, you get staff who give a lot of rewards, a lot of house points, a lot of... what's the cards that they get, the reward cards? Yeah, the house point cards. And the gemstones. I remember my son, who's actually in year 7 now, being so pleased when he came home. He was in year 6 because he got a gem, which is a card that we'll talk about later. And it was important that the children, it's a tangible reward. It's not something that's given just because you've answered a question. It's something that you've given because you've done something really well. So it was really important that there was value in there. So they had quite a lot of work to do with the staff and their understanding of it. So it wasn't necessarily, you've been good today, therefore you get a house point. It really when the children needed to do or had done something that was slightly above and beyond what was expected of them. That's quite difficult to get that message across to staff. Still today, I do get comments from students in Student Voice that say, well, actually, from some teachers we get a lot of house points, and from others we never get any. So all the time there's that refreshing message that has to go to staff to say, ensure you give house points, ensure students have the opportunity to achieve house points, and that you build them into your schemes of work. And what we also identified as well in the established stage was the need for not just a sports day. There needed to be competitions in everything that we do, and Karen's going to talk about that a little bit later, about all the competitions that we have embedded, if you like, now, because it has gone through the first year. So we're in the establishing stage, and then we've gone into the development stage. And I think some of the competitions, I think we can fair to say, are actually embedded now. Okay.
Okay, so the important thing about the reward system was that, as Tracy said, there were staff who gave out lots of house points and staff who didn't give out very many. And of course, because we're a through school, that tended to be that there were lots and lots of house points being given out in primary and not very many in secondary. So the important thing about the reward system was that we tried to make it balanced between the phases, the primary and secondary phase. So obviously I had meetings with the secondary leadership team and the primary leadership team to see how we could work this out. This is the reward system we've come up with now. And I collect the house points in every week, and it seems to be balancing out. We still get a few more in primary than secondary, but this is helping us achieve that balance between the two phases. So we all have the house point cards. There you can see a secondary house point card. The only difference with a primary one is that it says gemstone across the top and that it's signed by the head of primary. Other than that, they're identical. They have what we call smileys or stickers. So in Key Stage 1 and 2, they have to achieve 10 smileys or stickers to get their house point or their gemstone, which they simply collect on the card, and then they can take the card home. It's counted, and then they can take it home. At Key Stage 3, that goes down to 5 because we're a little less generous in secondary, and perhaps our expectations are a little higher. I know myself from teaching FS2 and Year 3 this year that I'm very quick to give a smiley to my primary students if they sit down nicely or if they beautifully behave during a lesson. They'll get a smiley very quickly, whereas obviously my Year 7s are not getting one for that. They have to do something a little more. And then obviously at Key Stage 4 and 5, because we're expecting sort of perhaps longer projects for them, and we're even less generous, they get the house point card straight away. Although, as you can see from there, lower school students can achieve house points straight away if their contribution is outstanding to school life or for something they've done outside of school. Perhaps they pass grade 3 violin exam or something sporting that's outside of school, or if they give some kind of outstanding contribution to the house. So that has worked for us in terms of making sure that the reward system is balanced across the phases. Sometimes it just takes a while to move on, sorry. So we are now in the developing stage, and this is what we're achieving and have achieved this year. We actually now have house assemblies where students from year 4 to 13 come together in our theatre. And these are actually led by the house captains, by the sixth form house captains. So although I'm there to help with my laptop, I'm in the wings and they put together their assemblies and they lead the whole thing, including bringing the students into assembly and dismissing them at the end. And as Tracy said, I've been absolutely astounded by the work that the sixth form house captains have produced and the assemblies they've delivered. They've been brilliant. That means those happen twice a term. So we've already had several and we've got our next one in 2 weeks' time. We have through school and year group house meetings. So again, students from 4 to 13 come together once every 4 weeks. And then the next week, students meet in their houses within their year groups because they're mixed in their tutor groups, which gives them a chance to discuss whatever is going on in the house system at the time. So recently their ones have been about changes to uniform, and they've been discussing obviously sports day, putting their teams together within their year groups and across the school. We have house pin badges, so every student was given a coloured badge which they wear, which shows which house they're in. As I said, they're consulting on uniform at the moment to see if we can put some changes in, particularly that I think the students are very keen on changing their PE uniform to identify themselves during PE lessons. We have regular house colours day, so at the end of every term, students are allowed to come to school in their dressed in the colours of their house. So, and we've also introduced this year the idea that they can also perhaps make a contribution to their house charity this year to raise money for their house charities. The school cafe is renamed every year, so it was the Blue Frog Cafe when I arrived. This year it's the Diamond Frog Cafe because Diamond won the house competition next year, and I'm very much hoping it will be the Ruby Frog Cafe next year because that's my house and we're currently in the lead. The student planners now as well also are in the house colours, and they have the house shield on the front of them, so you can see immediately in a lesson by the planner which house a student is in. And actually the planners have a pocket in the back as well, which allows the student to keep a house point card in there at all times, ready for staff to stamp away. Because obviously we were quite keen to make the reward system as simple as possible for staff to execute so that they would give more rewards. So in terms of student leadership, we do have house competitions that are led by the house captains now. They generate ideas and they put their teams together with as little interference from us as possible. As I said, the house assemblies are led by the house captains and they chair the house meetings as well. I'm around during those times, but only if they need my help. I'm literally there just to check everything's okay. They are completely led by the sixth formers. And we have cross-phase projects so that the students are working together from year 1 all the way up to year 13. Come on. In terms of our reward system, I have just talked you through it. It has developed this year so that it is now established. Staff understand how it works, students understand how it works, and house point totals are announced weekly now on our screens through a PowerPoint and actually verbally over the tannoy at break time so that students know on a weekly basis which house is in the lead and where they are.
It's quite interesting actually because the tannoy goes all the way through school. I don't know if any of you have that system within school, but with a school with 2,600 students in, when the announcement is made who is in the lead, it's like being at a football match because the whole place goes up and it starts cheering for who's in the lead, and it's almost like a drum roll moment. Every Thursday that is announced, and it is a really nice announcement at the end of the week. The students love it, and whatever age the children are, from 3 all the way to 18, they all actively engage in that cheer or boo if they've been knocked off the top. And it is a really nice end to the week, and it signifies the end of the week, but it also signifies that we are all a community as well.
So we're also working on our competitions. We now have regular music, sport and art competitions that are annual. They're taking place annually now. We also have CAS activities for our IB students. We encourage them to undertake activities that can be done by the houses. So they, for example, are visiting our house charities and doing work with our house charities within their houses, and they're running stalls, again, to collect money for the house charities within their houses. We have our house charities and we have our house eco concerns as well, which Tracy's going to talk to you a little bit more about later. But just to show you some of the things we have going on. This is some pictures from our house music competition. There's actually one picture from each house there. In the house entry, students, they had to enter with at least 2 students from every key stage. So on the stage are at least 2 students from key stage 2, 2 from key stage 3, 2 from key stage 4 and 2 from key stage 5, working together and competing. So obviously they all chose to sing, which is absolutely fine, but with their on the stage there, in each house there are at least 2 students from every key stage.
Okay, now, quite coincidentally, yesterday was Wellington's Sports Day. And 2 years ago, before I came, Sports Day at Wellington was outside at the back of school. And I don't know if any of you know Wellington. When the school was first built, for 900 students, it was adequate. But now for 2,600, the space isn't large enough for us for a sports day. And we didn't want to have separate key stage sports days. It was very, very important to us, if we were going to embed this house system and this through school system, that everybody needed to be together for sports day. So in quite an ambitious project, this time last year, for the first time, we actually took all students from year 4 upwards off-site to Sports City. We felt it was a little bit too much for the younger ones for a full day, but from year 4 upwards, they all went for the day. They all competed together in their houses. They all sit in their houses. I don't know if you know Sports City, it's like a grandstand, so they all sit in their houses, in their house colours, and they compete for the day for the house trophy, which yesterday you can see down here, Ruby won the house trophy. It was very exciting all day. Yeah, it was a very exciting day. The students really do cheer on they don't just cheer on their friends, they cheer on everybody who's wearing their house colour, because they know that child is in their house. Also as well for the non-active pupils, because we have those who don't necessarily want to run or jump or throw the shot put. We also have an active zone where students can take part in should we say, low-level activities, so skipping, keeping balls up, bunny hops, that type of thing. And then they have a house point card, which they can then get stamped, which adds to the total, so everybody is involved. So you get students going, I need to get some more house points to get my team up. So if any of you would have been passing Sports City yesterday, it was just a sea of 2,000 students, all in these in their different colour t-shirts like you see here, who were all taking part and all really racing towards that house trophy. And even though those students who are the house captains are in year 13, they were pretty excited at winning that house trophy, and that's leadership that they show, and the young children looking up to them is just amazing to see. So what would happen was, if a child from, say for example, Ruby was, that last person running around the track yesterday, well, those house captains were running at the side of them, spurring them to go on, and it's just such a lovely thing to see. Sorry, I was so proud of my school yesterday, apart from the fact we all had far too much sun. Yes, so it was a lovely day, and it was the second one. The first one, it was a new concept. The second one, it really did embed what we were all about. So another thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to give out in terms of the immediate community and give out in issues that we saw across the world. Because as a global community, as we all are in Dubai, we have issues that we want to address. So every house has an eco-charity, which for us is a rainforest. And there is an initiative that allows you to buy acres of rainforest. So for every 600 dirhams, it purchases 1 acre. So each house has an allocated rainforest. I think one is in Ecuador. I can't remember where they all are, can you? It's not my initiative, this one. Yeah. So there's a display in the reception of school that shows you where each rainforest is, and the idea is a dirham a week. Now, if every student brings in the 600, a dirham a month. Every student brings in 1 dirham a month, as in a coin. Some of them tend to put it in fives, and then there's 600 students in a house, that buys 1 acre of rainforest. So we have a constant update of how much is in there. It's been going for about 3 months now. And as you can see, these are Perspex money boxes. They're about so tall. And the children just come in and they put the money in. And they can see them rising for which house is actually buying the most rainforest. And that is something that we have totals for that are ongoing as well. One of the things that we wanted to do as well was to have a look how we could get involved in the community and link it into our house system. Now, I'm sure we all experience this, that disability in Dubai is not seen. We don't see disabled children, we don't see disabled people. But yet Dubai has one of the highest levels of disability in the world. So why don't we see these children? So one of the things that we wanted our children at Wellington, who are, let's be honest, extremely privileged children, we wanted them to see maybe some students that perhaps didn't have the same advantages as they have in life. So we went on tour of all the special schools in Dubai. We took some parents with us. It's quite a sensitive thing to do because we want to make sure that it's a collaborative partnership that we have with the special schools in Dubai. And we asked each of these 4 special schools to each be one of our house charities. It's not just about for us raising money. The students will raise money for these houses. Our students will bring money in quite readily. There's plenty of ways that they can raise money. But what was more important for us that is students got to experience what it was like for a special school, and the special school students got to come into our school and experience what it's like in a mainstream school as well. So this is an art project that's currently ongoing. Lillian McKay, our head of art, has been to the Rashid Centre. She took some Year 9 students, and the brief for the Year 9 students was to have a look at the needs and the ability of the students who were in Year 6, I think, at the Rashid Centre, and think about if they could bring them to Wellington and they could be involved in an art project, and all that the complexities and the needs that they needed to assess in order for that to happen. There's a short video which is sideways, so you need to go like this because the person who did it on an iPhone like that. But you'll get the point. Okay. So as you can see, the students are actually realising that the identification of colour is not necessarily there. So the ideas that they had in the first place, they perhaps needed to rethink about how they could best engage these children at Wellington. So the students that were involved in this project came back absolutely just so full of the visit that they actually did. And one of the students said to me, and Ari was actually in that video, she said, "Miss, it wasn't heartbreaking." She said it was heart-opening. And she said she felt so privileged when she came back. And this particular girl is very interested in getting involved with working with special needs students right now. So for us, it's very, very important that we continue these links, that the special schools have the opportunity to come to us and visit us, and our students have the opportunity to go to them. But it's very important that it's collaborative work. And collaborative work so we understand the needs of each sets of pupils, and it works particularly well for us. So the house charities are established. Students come all the time, constantly at my door saying, "Can I perhaps have somebody came just yesterday and said that they wanted to bring in DVDs, and perhaps everyone donate the DVDs and sell them for the house charity. Or another girl in year 12 wanted to make friendship bracelets where you buddy with a child in a special school, and you produce a friendship bracelet with the identity of both students, with beads and things, and very, very beautiful ideas. But they would go in and they would make the bracelets with the children in the special school, would help you choose the beads that they wanted in their bracelet, and then those would be reproduced by our students and sold as an identity to sponsor those children. I don't know if any of you know this, but the fees for the special schools in Dubai are not subsidised in any way other than by charity work. So the typical fees within Dubai, compared to Wellington, for example, and I'm sure that you know the fees at Wellington are quite high, they are triple what the fees are at Wellington just for one student. So it's a lot of money for those parents to find, and most of it is funded through charity work. Okay. Is it you? Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we are now. So I just wanted to show you what our students think of where we are now. These videos were actually taken at Sports Day yesterday, which is why Raheel has black stripes on her face. She doesn't go around like that all the time. But I just took the views of a year 12. She's actually in year 12, and she's one of our sixth form house captains, and 2 of our year 9 house captains as well. So I'll just let you hear what they think. It is quite noisy because it is at Sports Day, so... Okay, so that's where we are now. Obviously, we're now looking at embedding our house system over the year 2014 to 15. So again, just under those same headings, these are what we are looking at in terms of moving forward with our house system. We're looking at, because, as I say, at the moment we have form groups, tutor groups within year groups, we're looking at having vertical house forms that meet for a week, twice every term, to begin vertical mentoring and activities. And again, we've mentioned about the fact that we've put out the school and PE uniform to consultation with the students, and the idea that we're then going to put that out to parents and suppliers so that that can be that can actually become something that actually happens at school. And we're looking into the idea of having tutor groups just in Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 initially to be in houses rather than having them mixed in their houses, so that things like house assemblies are much easier to run, and when they have things like house competitions they can put their teams together perhaps with a little bit more easily than they do at the moment. We're looking at the mentoring through the house forms. Again, that should be easier if there are mixed year groups within the tutor groups. We're going to look at refining the house leadership structure, because at the moment primary and secondary are just very slightly different. So that's something we want to bring into line again to ensure that smooth transition between the phases. That we have student committees that meet every Tuesday, so the idea that they would also run through the house system, again just to embed the house system as part of the school ethos, and that our student parliament reports to students through house assemblies. That doesn't happen at the moment, but it is something I'm actually looking to do in our next house assemblies in 2 weeks' time, so that every student in the school is informed about what the student parliament is doing as well. In terms of the reward system, we're going to keep on renaming and repainting the school cafe. So, as I say, the Ruby Frog Cafe is what I'm looking for, certainly. And then finally, our house competitions, we're looking to obviously make sure they're annual. So as well as Sports Day, the house music competition, the art competitions we have in place, and for a trophy cabinet to be installed in reception with the trophies for our annual competitions.
Okay, so very quickly, because we're running out of time. These are what we feel are the benefits of the house system. This is what we think it brings to our school. Going back to the first slide, we think that we are now embedding these benefits within our school, and we're seeing these qualities with our students, and this goes through the core ethos of our school. Okay, at the end of the year, the House Cup will be awarded at the end of the year with the greatest number of house points, and that is a combination of everything: Sports Day, house music competitions, students' individual contribution, the charity work that they do. It's attendance, is linked to it as well. It's all linked together. And at the end of the year, the house flags that will go in, that are being made at the moment, that will go into the Diamond Frog Cafe, the one that's the house winner, that will be just slightly higher than the rest of the flags to stay, you know, like you get at the Olympics, you know, the one that goes the first is the gold medal. The same sort of ethos, if you like, and the same sort of idea. And of course, they will be awarded the House Cup at the end of the year. So, what we have now, we go back to this slide, we feel like now that we have all these words, if you like, at the core of everything that we do. We feel that we have heart, spirit, soul, however you want to express it. We feel that the school now has that. The job that we now have to do is to embed this and make sure that it continues as a tradition through Wellington International School. Thank you very much. Is there any questions? Oh, the bell. Yeah. Okay, we're on time. Thank you very much.